Hello, hello. How's it going, everybody? Yeah, we got stuff working. That's good. That's good. Today, we are looking at developer setup. I guess would you kind of categorize it? There's a few things that I use, some of which are, I don't know if I would say unique, but I would say maybe less typical. I do development in Windows, and I know there are people that are getting into development that have Windows computers. So I think it's also helpful to kind of go through this to explain a little bit of high level, but also help those understand how to get things set up and running. Or at least like a base level foundation to kind of work off of. But part of this also is I work in multiple OSs. Relatively often to where it makes sense for me to try to have an abstraction over my config and my .files, which are the setup files that work across platforms. So I can have kind of one config that then is generally applicable to Windows, Mac, and Linux, primarily WSL. Hey Chris, how's it going? So it's funny how I got a chat box here on the screen that I'm looking at. That showed up like 10 seconds after that showed up. Just starting the day. The morning stream, eh? Okay. So let's hop right over to it. The first thing I want to do, I've made some changes. And I don't think I've been terribly great about making sure to keep my .files up to date. Yeah, 8 a.m. over here. Yep. Honestly, that was kind of the thought process. I was like, if I go any earlier, it's going to get harder for me. It's also going to be... I mean, I guess I could still go earlier on the East Coast, or on the West Coast. I don't know. How's the coffee? it's the Jacob Bolded morning stream. Okay, so chezmoi.file management. It is chezmoi.io. I know Chris uses it. I think Chris is actually the one that mentioned it to me. Bruin, nice. It uses Go templating, which I think I mentioned in here somewhere. Here we go. Go based command line interface, CLI. And this is the thing that I use that's sort of the abstraction over my .files. I believe I also linked the .files around here somewhere. Yep. And some of these are... they're config files, but they wouldn't work directly. You need to run them through chezmoi and the CLI to... oh boy. Have I really not updated them for 2 years? We may have a little bit of syncing to do here. chezmoi has... I've kept an eye on the APIs, and I don't think they've changed too much. They do this thing where you use the CLI to kind of do git commands, and I'm not particularly a fan of that. Oh man, their default setup I wasn't a huge fan of, so I'm gonna just kind of go through. I guess I do the chezmoi add. Okay, so that actually adds it into the tracking. So what is chezmoi cd do? I think that opens up a separate shell that goes into it, yeah. And part of what I don't like it is in Windows, the default shell, I think it's changing. But it's still common to see the default shell be the command prompt, which I believe that's what this is right now. So quick high level overview of what each of these things are for those that aren't aware. This whole thing is the terminal. I use a terminal in Windows called Windows Terminal, which I believe is now the default. So if you are starting off with a like fresh install of Windows 11, I think this is the default now. It's honestly the best terminal that I've ever used in Windows by far. You can also install it via Scoop, which is what I've done. Scoop and Chocolatey are package managers, so instead of using the Windows Store or downloading it directly, you can use a package manager, which is, they also have it on Winget, which is the Windows like built-in one now as well. This method, if you're doing programming, very common on Linux and Mac. And I think using Scoop and Chocolatey is becoming more common on Windows, at least from what I've seen. Because part of it's the two-sided marketplace issue. You need to have the packages and you need to have the package manager. When these things first came out, package manager was around. You could use Chocolatey, but not everything was there. So I think we're finally getting to that point where, like, if somebody's trying to publish a tool, Chocolatey and Scoop are usually supported now. So that's sort of my indication on, like, it's hit the point where even from a developer's perspective that's trying to publish this thing to multiple operating systems, Chocolatey and Scoop be, kind of high on that list. Okay, so if I go into the shell, I get this local share chezmoi. Okay, so that's what I was doing. I was doing this. I was okay with the command line, but if I do this, then I see this is basically my .files config repo. And this is also the benefit of writing down notes and writing articles about this stuff. I can reference it myself. Guess it's been a while since I've done these. So when you make a change in the chezmoi local copy, then you chezmoi apply it. And it does have this overwrite protection, I guess you could say. So we can do a chezmoi apply, and I think that's going to be relatively safe because we're going to get this prompt, and we can do a diff. I think they also do have a diff command. I saw it on the other page. So let's just do a chezmoi diff. Yeah. So part of the issue here is the shell that I use had some updates, of which my config has changed. So, as far as a diff goes, it's changed somewhat drastically. Yeah. Oh, I got distracted. Terminal. Where you're typing, that is the shell. So I'm using a project called Nushell in this specific terminal window. And if I go to, let's go to the stream overlay. This fancy formatting where it says the branch that I'm on, the version of the package, which for personal projects I usually just leave it at 0, so that's why it's 0. And then you can also add context. That's called the prompt. And I use starship.rs for that. The nice thing about Nushell is that, and you might end up noticing a bit of a theme here. Nushell is written in Rust. Rust does a very good job at making it easy to make binaries for multiple operating systems, at least relative, in my opinion, at least relative to the other ways that you can write like system level languages. I like Rust, but also I sort of use that as an indication that it's going to be something that I can use on Windows, on Mac, and on Linux, which is very important for me because I don't want to. I want to try to keep everything the same, which just makes it easier when you're jumping between operating systems. So Nushell's written in Rust. Starship written in Rust. They are also very good. So like I'm not going to downplay the fact that they're Rust and I chose them partly because of that. I also chose them because they do a great job. There's a couple things in Starship that are a little bit slower that I wish at least in Windows would be we could deal with better, but I think the benefits outweigh the negatives. So Starship, we need to set this up on my Linux WSL instance. And I don't think I'm using Nushell either. So those are probably going to be things that we try to knock out today. We can talk about Nushell a little bit later as we're setting it up, but it is going to, for most programming, it is going to give you the same things that you need as if you're using Bash, ZSH, Fish, PowerShell. Command prompt is kind of going away. It gets a little sticky if you start doing scripting. So if a script in a project that you're working on is kind of expecting Bash to be available or it being running in Bash, then you might run into issues. Nushell's gotten a lot better though, where for the most part I don't see any issues anymore. And also I might have just fixed it in the projects I've been working on. So I think at this point I'm probably comfortable just using Nushell in every location. Right now I'm just currently using it in Windows, in the Windows native side. Okay, so chezmoi. We got a bunch of changes. Is there a way to go backwards? After making edits to your local, so this would be updating the other computers. I don't want to do an apply. I almost want to diff in the other direction. Have they? So I ended up making my config changes just directly in Nushell because the Nushell config, because things changed enough that I didn't want to bother having that extra layer there when I was trying to get it to work, because I needed it to work at that time. I guess quick start is probably where I want to go, eh? So there's a diff, we can apply the changes. Yeah, so this chezmoi edit was the thing that I wasn't really keen on using, I think, which is mostly where I was doing chezmoi cd, which gets me into the directory, and then I do make my edits via VS Code. So I guess I could do, I think for the most part my Nushell config is specifically for, and this actually might have changed a little bit too, so I'll have to double check on that. I think my Nushell config is probably going to be reasonably standard across operating systems, except for a couple of these aliases, because I have some stuff hard-coded, which is fine. Oh, I do have a Nushell for Mac. Okay. So they are going to be different. template. I do have a template, which is here. Okay. So these are all my aliases. The config used to be much smaller. I just had this startup script. And what I was doing is I was just templating out the startup or the aliases that mattered. It's not going to be quite that simple anymore. Another Nushell here. We can open up code, Nushell config path. So this is what my config looks like right now. I don't know. I think we talked about this, Chris. So Chris also uses Nushell. When they updated, did you end up copying over the I think they had some command where you can like initialize the config or something like that, and that's how like most of this config started for me. To where like this whole blob was generated and I could maybe get rid of it. I don't know how it does defaults now. And like completions, I guess I probably want to leave a bunch of this in. So I think some of this is going to be Starship prompt. I might be able to use this across the operating systems. This all seems, those are environment variables, so that should be generally. So another thing that's nice, like since this is Nushell is sort of my abstraction that is common between all my operating systems, I don't need to do like separate configs for separate shells. So I can have kind of all the same shell type config, all the same, and the prompts are going to be like Starship commands. So those should all be the same too. So I think there's not going to be all that much that's actually different between operating systems, which is going to be nice. So I think I can dump most of this in my config, and then what I'm generally going to be changing is just these aliases. You have another upgrade soon and you might wipe clean again and rebuild. Yeah. For the most part, I haven't changed this much. I've only changed it because when I first generated it, it has changed since I generated it. So the like config structure needed to be adjusted, but it's not because I actually really changed any values in here, I don't think. So I might be able to, I'm not sure how they do defaults or anything like that, but I think for right now, it seems like enough of it's going to be cross-platform that I can put this in my like default Nushell setup, which is going to be this template. So you can do templates, and then you can use those templates in actual config files. And I think this is the one I meant to click on. So in this case, app data is going to be Windows. Library application support is going to be Mac. And we can effectively just template out the little bits that changed and then pull in the full template from this templates directory. It is the template is going to be much bigger now though. So I might end up having to like switch around how I deal with stuff. I mean, I don't think it actually matters what order some of these are in. So like in this case, I'm specifically defining aliases that are coded, hard-coded to my Windows paths. And that's just because these are like helper things that I can, I've got, rather than doing like a yarn link and or like a yarn install to install this binary to the ether and then deal with all that, I'm literally making an alias to like run that CLI directly that I have generated. So I feel like it gives me a little bit more control. I could actually probably get rid of this one now. I don't actually need to create Tari app here anymore, I don't think. Because for the most part, how that works has changed enough that it isn't going to be useful for me. But these three definitely are useful. Now some of these like netstat, I don't know that that's actually going to be useful on Mac. We might need to adjust that. I suppose. So part of it is the config location is changing, and I can keep the same config. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is effectively scrubbing everything here and just like basically template out the whole thing, and then I can do switches in here for like if else logical type things based on operating system. So I guess we just copy this whole thing here. I did have a few more aliases here. Let's put these next to each other. In upgrading, I've ended up scrubbing or removing or adjusting some of them. So my list of aliases has actually gotten smaller. Oh, I guess the list of aliases also includes my commands, which for the most part I have the same. Okay. So I think I can just scrub this whole file. I'll copy this whole thing over. That is going to be our template now. I don't have anything particularly extra here. On Windows, I think we can straight up just do that. This setup on Mac might be a little bit more involved, because we have a little bit of Starship stuff here. We might end up coming back to... So the nice thing about this setup is that my dot files are saved here. I can scrub a bunch of this, and if I goof something up, I have it in my Git history. So it's not the end of the world if something goes wrong. Yeah, so we're definitely not going to be able to just like keep this directly. But do I have anything like this actually set up here? Yeah, so some of these things are very Mac specific. This and this. So I think what we do is do this. We'll remove the ones that don't matter. And then we deal with these specifically here. And I think I'm just gonna go for it. We're gonna send it, and I might goof this up and it might not work on my Mac, but we can come back around and fix it after. let's check. Oh, installation. Mac. So you curl sh, and then you configure the shell. So we have a Starship specific command now. Look at that. So I'll need to do this command on my Mac for this to work. But I think, oh, it didn't actually copy. Copy. It didn't copy. Okay. All right. So I think that's actually going to deal with my Starship initialization on Mac. I don't know how much I need to care about the path, but this. Oh, was I really doing that every time I started it up? That's kind of hilarious. I don't think I need to run it every time. We're gonna take that out. Is there anything else? Setup, configure. We do also have Starship config, of which it is stored in my chezmoi setup as well. I also have Volta set up, which is nice. There's some things that I wish would be settled on it so I could use it more fully. But it works well for what it does and for the places that I use it. It is in the vein of, is it MVM? Node Version Manager? MVM? I think that's right. It handles the installs and running of Node, Yarn, and npm. And to my call up before, they are, I think, still working on getting pnpm settled. And then there's like Yarn version 3 and core pack, and then it gets more complex for there. But for the most part, I set it up with Volta and do a little bit of config in each project, and it just uses the right version, and everybody that's using Volta gets the same exact version, which is really nice. So if I'm using it in a project where everybody else is using it in the same project, it works out real nice, because we can open up a PR changing one variable, and that version of Node that we set ends up being used locally for me in CI. I think in some cases we set it up to work with Docker, somewhere we were just hard coding it, and then in everybody else's local setup as well. So it's really nice for that sort of thing, especially when you have clients that, I mean, I hope everybody has security concerns, but clients where the CI actually blocks if you have old versions of Node or whatnot. So just that general management of it makes it really nice. Long story short, Volta Home is for setting that up. In bash, zish, and fish, or zsh, you set that. So I think we still need that, but we might need to Nushell it a bit. Well, okay, this was old Nushell. Oh, and that's the other thing. These are Toml files. They switched to config.new. Right? I think so. My diff definitely pointed to otherwise, though. So that's Windows terminal. Starship setup changed slightly. Oh, so actually, no, I was looking at the wrong thing. I thought this was my Nushell config that was changing. That's actually my Windows terminal setup that's changing, which is actually much easier to update than I was expecting. But here, not much has changed because the file has changed. So how should we do this? I don't really want to. I guess I can just do an add. I need to figure out where that file is, though. I can do yep. Echo. We don't want to echo that. Config path. Okay, so now I can do a chezmoi add. I'm just gonna copy paste. So now I should have this config.new. And that's just gonna have everything in there. But I don't want everything in there. I think I do want this whole thing pulled in. So I am going to take this and I'm gonna put it in here. And I'm gonna delete this one because I only want, whoa. Apparently I had both of them selected, there we go. So I only want the config.new. And yeah. So we do need to do the Volta. Well, we need to source Starship. Let's source Starship. So that's for ZSH. What about for Windows? Is that an advanced installation? Windows. Oh, interesting. They say use winget. I think I've got it set up through Scoop. Starship, yeah. Oh, they do have it listed here. So actually, I think that works for everything. Not quite, because Windows doesn't have the tilde directory. So do I have search for Starship? I wonder if I don't need to do. So I think I have a config. Can you actually? Oh, you can. So Nushell supports the tilde. Yeah. Okay, so that I think that's actually going to end up working for every operating system. So I can do config new. Oh wait, I want that. Got it open already. Here, yep. So this, I actually want that here. I think that's gonna work. Because I think that setup's gonna be applicable to every operating system. So then it's just this Volta stuff. Do I only need to set Volta Home, I believe? Yeah, so I've got Volta Home. I think I have it hard-coded on my path in the system side of Windows. So I'm not going to bother with the Windows for the Volta Home path. But on Mac, I'm going to set it through here. So we need to figure out how to set environment variables. Oh, we've got it already. Yeah, let env. So let's do I guess we could just grab this whole thing. Now, some of this I'm only going to want, like I only want this on Mac and I only want this on Windows. I guess Explorer as well. So I need to do, I don't remember my Go templating offhand. Templates. Oh, I'm in the user guide. Why? Oh, no. I was not in the user guide. Okay, templating. Got a template. Here we go. So we want to say Darwin would be, and we actually do want to, hopefully we still can get some WSL set up as well. But we're basically going to end up doing something like this. Yeah, I guess that'll work. And we're going to go okay, what's not equals? I'm going to have to look up yeah, let's just do that. It's going to be faster to say go templating. I use it so rarely that the syntax escapes me. So there's a with, a block, an if else. So this would be, I want to say not equals. Is there an equals? Equivalent is not the word I was hoping for. Go logical operators. Go not equal? I seem to remember that it was just an EQ. But also they've got a bunch of, I don't know if these operators work in the Go templating. That's a part of my hesitation here. Go not equal string template. Yeah, so well, equals. Oh, what? Not equals. Not equal. Any. And chezmoi.os. What is the Windows value for that? chezmoi.os. So there's Linux. Manage machine-to-machine differences. Yeah, so there's a couple things we can do. We can do machine-to-machine. So if we have two computers on Mac and we want to make things different between them, we can use the host name. There's also operating system and architecture. So we could potentially use like x86, but I don't know what shows up in WSL for architecture, so that might not work because we want, for the most part, our Linux and Mac are going to be the same, I think, in the things that we're using it for. So I just want to differentiate between, actually no, the paths are actually going to be different, but that's less of an issue. Yeah, so like here, operating system, Mac, Linux, but where's Windows? Daily operation, nope, that's how to use it. Command overview. Okay, so that's the CLI. Do they have a status? CD, ooh, there's a status, that would be nice. Just give a shot. Makes an existing file a template. So we can print a template out, so we can test it that way once we get it working. And I just want to know what's under the here, Windows. So this is, if we're running in Windows, we also need to consider if we're in Linux, we have multiple potential flavors of Linux. So one of the things that you might want to look for is if you're in Linux, but specifically WSL Linux, I guess. Because there's also, so WSL can run kernel.os release. That might actually be, so WSL is sort of like a way to run a virtual machine, I guess. I think for the most part WSL2 is basically virtual machines. So you can have Ubuntu, and I think in the default WSL list, nope. So these are like the default easy to download ones, basically. So we have some other things other than just Ubuntu. So like we've got Debian. We could run Debian or Ubuntu. So like we might want to check that we're in Linux, but we might also want to check what version of, what flavor of Linux. But then we also might want to have a switch for if we're in, Debian running within WSL or Debian outside of WSL. And unfortunately, they don't have an example for just like checking that we're running in Windows. Hack. So Darwin, we saw that before. Yeah, so like here you can check if it's there. Else, I think basically in all of these examples ends up being Windows. And I wonder if it's because maybe the chezmoi.os tends to be different between versions of Windows or something. Ah, here we go. All right. That seems forward enough. Did I just get unlucky that none of the examples happen to be using that? So if it's not equal to Windows, then I want to do this, because I'm presuming that it's going to be on both Mac and my WSL instance. And then here I do want to say if it's equal to Windows, then I want to include these. Okay, so now I can get rid of this. I might still need to deal with the path, but let's double check to make sure there's nothing else in here. Some of these commands, I think there's netstat on Mac. Heck, here. Yes, there is. So I think for the most part, everything else here is going to be cross-platform enough that I don't need to do any special switches or deal with it separately. So I think we're going to call a little Nushell config there done, and Windows is done. So that would be this app data roaming Nushell config.new is straight up just taking the whole templated I'm actually going to rename that to .new. And we need to update it here. And we need to, we're going to have to change this one as well, because it's not .toml anymore. But I'm not sure where that goes. So brew install Nushell. Here. I don't know if I have it actually working on this other computer. I think I still have an old version of Nushell on it. Did I break it? Okay, we're just going to change this to config.new, and I think I'm just going to deal with Mac later, because I'm not sure where I guess I need to figure out for WSL as well. And we are running. I guess we still have a little bit of time. Maybe about 40 minutes. But I want to make sure I leave enough time to try to get a WSL install going. Path. Is there a path in here? Let's double check that quick. Path. I don't see a path. Let's go to the installation, I guess, after installing new, so we can launch it here. But we want to do default shell. This is what I'm looking for. So we have that set up already. We don't need to do that. Put the path to new in the text box. Okay. I don't want to set it as my login shell for Mac, just because it's not going to be particularly beneficial, and I'd rather that be stable. Is there anything else in installing? Building. Okay. Let's search for path. Path configuration. Okay, so there's so for the most part I'm using Nushell on Mac. So what we can do is basically this command, I think. And then let's see what we have in our config here. We have Volta. We've got homebrew, and then a bunch of other stuff, and we're pre-pending it in this case. So I don't really need these there because those should be configured in my path at the system level, I believe. I think I can do 2 prepend calls. Prepend. And I think that's going to deal with our path config there. We'll have to come back and set that up for WSL, but let's see where we're at with things. I am going to, we're not going to deal with the .zsh. And we might need to actually deal with this. So this, at this top level, the chezmoi ignore, that allows you to set which folders are actually being copied. So on Mac, Mac is the only thing that's going to copy that library folder. Windows is the only thing that's going to copy the app data folder. So like this chezmoi ignore is the config that basically like splits off pieces of these folders for different operating systems. Do we need to do anything with Starship? I don't see anything, but I think we come back to that. Windows terminal would be the last thing. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, whoop, go away. What I'm gonna do is, let's just open that up. Oh, you know what? They've got a settings menu in here that I think I can do. Open JSON file. Here we go. I'm presuming that I just want this all straight up. A big part of it is the schemes, which is color setups, like color profiles, and then a bunch of, like I've got, and this is actually going to change once we get WSL set up, but like you can see I have, for git bash, I've got a color scheme of Tango Dark. And for WSL, I right now have Ubuntu 20 set up. I think we're gonna, should be able to get it done, I think. Set up Ubuntu 22, I believe it is. Yep, Ubuntu 22. And then in there, we're gonna set up Nushell And I don't have too much in my Ubuntu 20 instance. So I think I've got like a in progress PR. I'll probably just finish that up and then straight up delete this Ubuntu 20 box. Basically just have it like a reroll and have a whole new thing. And here you can see my Nushell config, and we're using the Night Owl theme. And this helps to, if I go into like Powershell, it ends up being pretty clear that these are two different shells. Something is different about them, and that's the indication to me that, yeah, I opened up PowerShell and I want to make that intentional, and I'm not that way. I'm not accidentally using a shell that I'm not expecting to be using. So that's the reason for these different shells and the different color schemes per shell. I could probably, do I develop a command prompt? I don't actually want that in there. PowerShell is fine. I do. CMD, I'm gonna leave that on there. Git bash, I'm gonna leave that on there. Okay. So I can straight up copy this and paste. So now, what are we looking at for my diff? We've got do have a little bit of a difference here. Did not like why aren't they the same? Same files. And some of this might be, what's the direction of the diff? So we're diffing config Starship. Okay, well that's not helpful. Oh no, that's diff on this, not based off of if I'm applying it or not. That I think is what's throwing me off here. Hey, how's it going? So I think we're probably safe to. All of these changes are, I think I actually made these changes in chezmoi. No. Starship, where are you? App.config, Starship, here. Yarn, npm. npm is going to be this like non-printable character is a Fura code ligature. Is ligature the word? That ends up being rendered as like the npm symbol in my terminal here. So it's doing npm v. Yeah, so that has actually changed. So let's go ahead and do code. I don't remember where Starship is located. This. Here's calendar invite. Make sure they're not moving around meetings in me. Doesn't look like it. Okay. So we have changed this a little bit. Within here, we just have the, oh, no, I didn't scan up enough. Scan timeout, directory, substitutions. That's probably fine. Yeah, that should be fine. I'm gonna put this up here though. That is one difference. Those are the same, and then we've got some custom yarn commands here. So I don't know that that's actually gonna be the So part of the thing that I was running into, Starship uses CMD, I believe, on Windows, and that seems to be really slow. I don't quite recall all of the specifics, but I ended up like setting the shell as bash, and I think that helped out a lot. Like, it was significant. It was like hundreds of milliseconds to like 3 seconds comparison. Yeah, we're fine with everything else here, I think. So now, if we do a chezmoi apply, that is going to give us prompts that, let me scale this up just a little bit here and restart it because it gets funky. Config Starship has changed. So we can say, let's do a diff. Diff is just going to show us the things that have like changed between them. And do we have spaces in there? No, we don't have any spaces. Do we want spaces? Yeah, I don't have any spaces there. But honestly, like, all of that's fine, I think. So we can do, if we say override. Okay, so that now has applied it. So this template has now been applied here. And it all seems fine, I think. So if we do a chezmoi apply, we've fixed all the other ones, so there shouldn't be any other changes. So now our chezmoi setup should be good to go. We're gonna go ahead and commit this up in groups. Did I lose my? Yeah, I did. Chezmoi cd. All right, we're gonna say update Windows terminal settings. And then I think I'm kind of keen on putting these all I typed that in wrong. Putting these all in the same commit, because all the Nushell and Starship stuff tends to sort of smush together as far as concerns go. So we're just gonna say git commit Nushell new config format. I don't think I'm gonna mention anything about Starship because that was minimal enough that I don't really care that much. So we should be able to now, let me double check my, yep, so we made the commits, then we can push. That'll put it into our dot files, which should be set up still. Yep. So I went to dot files, and now we can chezmoi update on another computer. And in this case, we want to try to get WSL set up here real quick for Ubuntu 2022, or Ubuntu 22, I guess you'd say. So WSL list online. These are options. I think I'm gonna specifically install Ubuntu 22. I think it's just WSL install now, right? This is definitely way easier than it used to be. Yeah, so there's a -d argument. WSL install -d Ubuntu 22. Now that'll take a little bit because we need to both do an install and download the image. And these images aren't small. You can do an export from there's both import and export commands. So we can install it. It's going to go on my main hard drive, which is actually smaller. I've got a secondary hard drive that is fortunately much larger. Okay, so it's still installing. And I can back it up, export it to the secondary hard drive, and then import it. Not everything ends up getting moved over, but enough of it is moved over that like I'm fine with just that being the way that I handle it. So we need a new username. Can I open this without revealing anything? Okay. So I'm just going to do this on the side. And cool. Installation successful. There we go. So WSL2. We can do, if we go back to here, we can do WSL list. You can see I've got it installed there, and now if we do verbose, you can see that they're both version 2. So there's a reasonably big difference between version 1 and version 2. Version 2 is more of a VM, version 1 was not, and has better file system operation speed, but has other concerns or other gotchas. I think 2 works a lot better. But you want to use the file system within the like Linux VM basically. So this is effectively empty for me right now. You can have within here, you can like mount, like I could mount my Windows drive so it's visible from my instance, but any like file system operations that would, like if I'm running a script that is hitting that Windows mount, you're gonna have some latency in there that you wouldn't have if you were just doing those same operations on the main like within the main Linux file system. So we've got Ubuntu 22. Let me get it set up in here. We can, I think, straight up just copy this one. Can we do an add new profile, duplicate this one, and Actually, yeah, this is gonna work really well because we can say we want this to be 22. We want this to also be 22. Starting directory. We do need to make that. I'm gonna just do it over on the side here. Make dir GitHub. My file system, I end up having. My Windows is a little bit different because I set it up a while ago and I haven't bothered to change it. But I have a GitHub folder, and then the folder structure from there matches the URL schemes. So GitHub/owner/repo. Like here, if I was happening to clone this, I would have this in ~dev/github/starship/starship. And like that's effectively guaranteed to be unique because it's guaranteed on the GitHub side to be unique. You can't have the same theme between repositories. And then that also means that if I'm doing tweaks on my prompt, actually I need to save this. I'm in my oh no, I don't have to. Do I have any folder open? No. So like if I went to cd this, I can adjust my prompt to literally say like the URL, and then that sometimes is clickable in Windows Terminal, and there might be a hotkey. They've changed it a few times now. They might have like turned off the default setting too, but for sure in iTerm 2 on Mac, and I believe on Linux too, those are both clickable by default. So like this ends up being a really great way to organize your folders because I never have to like search for stuff. It's always in, if I get sent a URL or something, or I'm streaming or doing comparisons and or jumping back and forth between GitHub and that, it makes that really easy. For me at least. Some icons, I mean whatever. This is actually going to change slightly because this directory is different. Alright, I think that's probably going to be good. So I can go ahead and save that. That will have updated our... That's restarting the terminal. Or crashed. Potentially both. Interesting. This will start up then. Okay, so part of it is we got a Nushell issue. But we do have... Oh, did it actually... It added it in there for us. Okay. I'm actually kind of okay with that. Whoa, what? We've got it in there multiple times now. That's not actually using... I had one hidden? Okay, what is... What is going on? So that one's not hidden. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this one. Delete. I don't think I want that one. Okay, so I've got that now. Nushell, what do we got? Parse mismatch during operation. Okay, so we have, and actually, like some of this stuff I actually don't mind, and that comes in through, like this is the default Nushell config. So we still have a template in there? We still have the template in there. Code this. Yeah, okay. So clearly that didn't work. We want this to be that, and that should be coming from template Nushell startup.new.tmpl. So we've effectively blitzed our Nushell config. If we do a chezmoi apply, okay, that makes sense. The terminal settings have changed. Let's copy those over real quick. Do I not have? No, I don't. Got too many terminal windows open here. Okay, this. Can I move this up in defaults? I actually kind of I should bring in the Nushell logo. But we're not going to do that right now. Default profile. Okay. I think if we just edit it in here, it's gonna work. So I want Nushell at the top. And then I'm gonna move Ubuntu 22 here. Some of these like edits and such I could theoretically do directly in here. But for it to fill in like the GUID is nice. Like I think that just needs to be unique. I don't think it actually matters. But it's easier just to hit let the terminal handle that. Okay, so we got 22, 20, git bash, cloud terminal, cmd, PowerShell. I'm actually gonna move PowerShell up. I'm gonna have cmd at the bottom. And actually I'm gonna move this all the way down. Okay, so now if we go into this, I'm gonna just paste it right over the top of that and save. Now close. That should be updated there. And if we do like in here, chezmoi apply, no changes. So the terminal should be good. Now, for whatever reason, this isn't actually coming through. My Nushell config, Starship config. So this is my actual Nushell config. It's empty. or I mean, it's literally using this template. So what did we do wrong here? Templating. So we can make it aware of templates. We can edit it. And then, okay, so we can debug them. That's nice. We can just straight up do a command line call to do the go templating, tell us what it actually is going to return. And actually, we'll give that one a shot right there. Let's do, because if we do, oh, we're in dev. Okay, we're gonna do chezmoi cd and go like that. Clear. Oh, okay, fine, whatever. So if we do What is this, command prompt? Yeah. Yeah, so that's part of the, like, I don't like working with the chezmoi cd because it's using command prompt by default. Apt, and I definitely have the habit that doesn't make it. I type ls all the time. Where is that folder? What is it? Local packages. Okay, can I just do cat app data and just tab complete it all? There we go. And then we could do chezmoi execute template. And this is also small again. The no cat in command prompt. Okay, so I guess we're not going to trade that because I don't feel like dealing with it. Oh, there is a chezmoi data. Okay, so this is actually probably what I should have done before. So like this would have keyed me into chezmoi .chezmoi.os. The value is Windows. So that would have been nice to know or have noticed before. And oh, really? That's kind of weird. Okay, so you can cat it. So we can do chezmoi cat. Yeah, there we go. So we can do this. Not in source state. What? Oh no, I don't want the Windows terminal. I want the roaming Nushell. Shoot. So chezmoi cat app data roaming. Guessing this still isn't gonna work. Yeah, not in source state. So chezmoi diff. Is that a weird pathing thing? Does it not like? It feels like Windows is a little bit of an afterthought with chezmoi, but also like I think some of that is just Go. No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it's actually expecting here. So like, I guess it's a fully qualified file path. So like if we would do this, because I don't think it's going to actually recognize C users share app data roaming Nushell config not in source state. Well, that's unfortunate. We can kind of just keep running chezmoi apply, I guess, though, and we should be able to like actually see it come through. So the left side here is the value, or like this is the what's in chezmoi. When we run the command, it pipes into this file. That file should have that template, those template values filled in instead of literally nothing. Really? Oh, you can pass arguments to it. Okay, Interesting. I thought that was like literally setting the font for the file. So why is it not showing up? Nushell-startup.new.tmpl. Do we need to make it aware of that template? So we can add a file. So you can make it a template. Interesting. Oh, that's kind of nifty. That is kind of nifty. You can create a template manually. Okay. So tmpl, that should be fine. We've effectively created a template, or manually. Templates in this must be created manually. Ah, okay. So we have sort of this abstracted chezmoi templates. I'm actually going to rename this. I don't know if I really like that. Nushell config. We're going to call it that. We're going to do this. Whoop. I'm not going to do it there because that's my actual file. But that. So none of these testing things really end up working. That might work. I don't know. Execute. I don't know. The words are hard. CMD pipes. If it can even do pipes, can it even do that? I don't even know if it can. But yeah, like it's not even tab completing. Oh shit! Oh, of course, because I spelled it wrong. Ha. Yeah. Why? Yes, I did mean execute template. Thank you very much. So that worked. It's not inherently an issue with that. App data config.new. Oh, oh, do I need to rename this to .template? .tmpl. Yeah, I bet you that's it. So chezmoi. I got some weird color in there for a second. I thought I dropped out of the other shell. Chezmoi apply. What does that look like now? Executing Nushell config.new template. No entry for key chezmoi. That's unfortunate. Nushell config template. So we .chezmoi. And it's happening on line 22 of this. So here it's saying that there's no value for chezmoi. No entry for key chezmoi. That is curious. Particularly because I'm pretty sure it worked up here. A whole bunch of scrolling because zoomed in text. Yeah, we did not get Volta Home. I'm actually gonna, not that that matters that much, but that extra space in there kind of gets me. We should have that available, chezmoi.os. Yeah, the top level thing is chezmoi. chezmoi.os, and we're also using .homedir, which we've got. Well, no bueno. I think I'm gonna use, so Homebrew has a Linux. There's probably better ways to do it, but I think I'm just okay straight up using Homebrew on Linux. So while I'm messing around with that, we're gonna run this real quick because this might take a little bit. And then we're gonna brew install Starship, chezmoi, and Nushell. Why? Okay, what are you doing? Okay, that's going. Now, why are you not applying? So we apply and then update. Okay, that's done. So brew install. I think it's Nushell. Brew. So first order of business. It's not on my path. So I can do, let's see, run these two commands to add homebrew to your path. I guess I'm okay doing. Yeah, I guess. I don't know if this is. I think I still would need it to run in my shell startup. I think I am going to also install GCC because I suspect I'm going to want GCC at some point. Paste, 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 paste. Yes. Okay. And then build essential, and then brew install GCC. So brew should be on the. There we go. So brew install GCC. Go ahead and do that. All right. Now, why are you not working? chezmoi apply. Executing new shell config template add chezmoi os nil data, no entry for chezmoi. So maybe I can't actually do the. Like, is that a nested template sort of situation? So it's pulling in that template. Let's just take out those bits for the moment. I'm just gonna go like this. I think that's gonna be enough to like short circuit it. Guess we'll see. Home dir is still. Okay. So that's interesting. Putting these in here, I can't pull that in as a template, which is sort of frustrating. I can do, I guess what I do is I just set these in each operating system location. I'm kind of okay with that. It's technically gonna end up like creating it out of order. Like if I open up the config file, it's not gonna be, all the aliases aren't gonna be grouped together. But honestly, like at this point, I'm fine just shipping it. It's a config file. It's kind of in the background anyways, so why does it matter that much what it actually looks like? Okay, so now if I do chezmoi apply, there we go. And then I should have my aliases at the bottom. Fine with that, I guess. Changed here. Oh yeah. Okay, git commit new WSL Ubuntu 22 shell profile. My music just ended. Okay. Nested templates seem to fail on Nest. Okay, so we have brew here. So now we should be able to do a brew install Nushell. And then we want chezmoi and Starship. And we see if we can get those set up real quick here, and then we need to call it a day. And I guess I also need Volta. I suppose I might as well do that right away too. Now we're just looking at bars. Fetching, downloading, fetching, downloading. So we need this. We need this, I guess. I think I can brew install this. Volta doesn't have a Windows. No scoop or chocolatey. It is what it is. So I have to do it that way, but I would prefer to do everything else through brew. And honestly, I could probably, well, I guess, yeah, so they do have Linux brew listed here. There's a bunch of other like package managers. I don't know. It's a thing. There's lots of them and none of them are perfect. I don't know if they're ever going to be, but also Having lots of different ones to deal with is not the nicest user experience. All right, Starship. Got that installed. We got Nushell installed. Is there anything else that we would need to do? We need Nushell, Starship, Volta. Okay, we need to set our default prompt, or not our default prompt, our WSL default shell. Okay, so how do we how to change it? Why, thank you. Interesting. So in our settings here, maybe it makes sense to adjust let's see. Yeah. The executable used in the profile. So this does WSL exe-d and it starts it up. So do we have WSL-H. So if we're running WSL, execute the specified command without using the default Linux shell. So we can set the distribution launches a shell to the system distribution. Nice. I guess we can do something like that. Set and use CSH as default shell in WSL. We don't want Zish as a default, but that's fine. You can use the true default shell now if you call it. Okay, so we are calling to WSL. And if we do whoop, you gotta go into the right terminal. This one. Which Nushell? We just installed Nushell. So brew is available on the path, but it's got the bin. So is Nushell not even available on the path? Nushell not found. So there is so within, I guess, kind of most operating systems, there's a thing called the path, and it's an environment variable. You can set environment variables on the system level or as part of your shell startup. So when you start up the shell, you can have it set an environment variable and or just the path, which we have done. The shell tells, or the path tells the shell where to find executables. So when you type in a command into the terminal, or excuse me, into the shell, it's trying to execute a binary or an .exe or .sh or what have you. It needs to know where to find it. So unless you give it the fully qualified path, that would be like on Linux / wherever this thing is located, it's not going to know how to run it. But if you have the path point to a folder that has these binaries, you're able to, it doesn't need that fully qualified path because it's basically using that list in the environment variable path as like a lookup. It's going to say, hey, you've basically just given me a value. I'm going to look through all these paths and see if this thing is available here. So the order that you have these in also matters, because if you have brew listed first, which we do, it's going to look at that directory first. So if we've installed Volta and that handles node, and we've also installed brew and that have a instance of node installed there, whichever one you list first is the first directory it's going to look for that binary. So that's going to end up dictating which version of node you would end up running. So the order of that actually matters as well. I don't really care about VS Code because I don't actually run my shell through there. So why? Okay, so we need to add Nushell to the path, and honestly I think I'm probably fine setting that. I don't know if I want it as a login shell. Installing. So like this would be in native. And like we can adjust the login shell. I mean, maybe do we do it? I don't know if I want to actually change it. I think I want to ideally set it as like a configuration thing. I mean, it seems to use bash, so we could just have bash start up Nushell, and like that could just be the thing if you start, because then it's bash. So bash was used to start WSL. Okay. Okay, so you are supposed to be starting using WSL.exe. And we can set the default shell. So we can just adjust it then, I guess. So as long as we get Nushell on the path, I think we can adjust it. And need to be finishing up here pretty soon. Went a little bit longer than I was hoping, but this Nushell config is a pain here. Or I guess chezmoi config. Where does it install? I mean, it should be in ls/home/linux brew /bin. So these are all the bin, or the binaries within the Linux brew thing. Ah, there's a new. That's what it is. No environment config found. Would you like to create one with defaults? No. Okay, so now we're in bash. The previous thing above was Nushell, and I was trying to make a default config. So what I want to do actually is, if I do which new, So we got the pass right. Brew is our default. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and change the default. I can always jump into other ones, but honestly, it's fine. If we say chsh.s new. It's definitely there. It's invalid. Why would it be invalid? New is an invalid shell. Some Linux distributions have a list of valid shells located at etc. shells. So if we nano etc. /shells, yep. So we can say slash I don't remember what it is now. Exit. No. Copy. Write out. Permission denied, of course. Exit. No. Sudo nano etc. shells. And of course, you were going to jump right in, and I lost my copy paste. There we go. And exit. There we go. Okay, so now we should be able to do change shell to new. And another password. New is still an invalid shell. Key. Go there. Guess it needs the fully qualified path. That seemed to work. So now if we close the things and we open up 22. Hey, okay, so this is the new shell saying, hey, we don't have config. What should we do? Yeah, sure, fine. So what it has done is it has created a config file here. We need, we have brew is not available. Because we have a different path. Did I close it? I don't see. Yeah. All right. brew.sh. Oh, should I? Do I still have it? No, I don't. The which new? So all my past stuff changed because the shell stuff changed. Well, that's kind of annoying. Okay, So we can do code new dot config path, and that should open it up in VS Code for us. We are going to just tweak the path once that opens. So this is basically the default, and you can see a lot of it is sort of in the same vein of what it was before. Or, you know, the whole like bottom half of what we have already configured. And I'm going to basically copy this. So we want, it's not going to be opt homebrew bin because that's different. Also, I don't really care about Volta at the moment, but let's go back to the other one. I need, where's Linux brew go? Linux brew path. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. It does not. Is that really just set? Nope. Here. I just need the bin. Does it really put it in? Okay. It's in .linux brew. Oh. Does it really put it in my home? Oh yeah, ls la, because it's a dot, it's preceded by a dot, so it doesn't show with the normal ls command. Dot linux brew /bin. Okay, so I guess it is slash, go back here, go here. It is going to be slash home slash linux brew slash dot lin that looked weird for a minute there. Linux brew slash bin. Okay, so now when I start up, that it should default to boy. Oh, I did it in the wrong spot. Wait, no, I did. Home config Nushell. Okay. I'm not sure why it asked if I would like to make a config file, because it has one, right? That's a little odd. Okay, so now if I do chezmoi brew install chezmoi, that was one that I forgot to do before. We'll get that installed, and then I should be able to do a chezmoi. We'll have to do an init, I think. Setup and then an update. So if you have an existing .file repo, you can use that second option for the repo. And I think what I've done in my normal setup here is I've got a dotfiles, I think. So existing dot.file repo. Let's look at the docs. Existing dot command line flags. Commands. And init. Oh, is this gonna? Okay, so. Got it. I think I'm gonna use HTTPS. We've got this, and I think we can do this because that's going to be in that. So we can say now here, chezmoi init, and then give it this URL, and it should clone it and then do the thing. So now we can do chezmoi cd. And that, see, this is interesting now here too, because it's using Nushell as a default, so it actually goes into that default. Okay. Now we should be able to do a chezmoi apply, and that's not going to work. But that's not actually going to like change anything specifically for this because we don't have anything other than Starship config, I guess. So what I do want to do is say, if we do exit, why is this not no environment config file found? Yes, I would like to create one. But don't I have one already? Code this. It must be something. Oh, I mean, it seemed like it stuck that time now. I'm not sure why I was doing that. That's odd to me. But that ends up going in this. So I think we can do chezmoi add. I don't know if how it's going to work with the directory thing. Let's double check real quick. So if we target the source state, I'm assuming it's going to do relative to like everything correctly. And .new. I don't think I want to include that. I think we just go with this. And now we should be able to say cd chezmoi. Oh, chezmoi cd rather. Open that up. Yes. Okay, so we have all of our chezmoi stuff set up, and we have also added Nushell in our .config here. So then if I go in here, I want to say I'm only going to copy this if not equal to, wait, oh, that's backwards. So if, wait, if it's not equal to Darwin, then do library. Oh, it's the opposite. This is like ignore. Ugh, that's kind of confusing. Whatever. Well, I'll deal with that in a hot minute. This basically we end up just pulling in another Starship. We would pull in this one. And this is gonna prepend Volta and I mean technically Homebrew, but Homebrew should already be set up so that we can just nix that. And then I think we're good to go. All right, I think that's where we're gonna call it. I need to get running here. We were able to sync up with chezmoi. That took a little bit longer than I was hoping for, but I think we got that all rolling. So my .files should be updated. We definitely didn't hit our stretch goal of getting that also moved over to my Mac, but also we ended up setting up WSL. I don't know if I put that in the description below. So we were able to get a full WSL instance, I think pretty much set up using that config. I'll have to do a couple extra commits here. We'll do that off stream, obviously. And I think I'm going to be set up in my Linux setup with WSL on Ubuntu 22. And then I'll probably do a little bit of copying over to the Mac, and we'll have all three things set up. I'll probably end up making this a video because I think this in a very tight package could be helpful, but hopefully the full stream helped you out. Maybe some of these debugging steps in between are helpful. A little bit of a high level explanation. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment below. Hopefully this is helpful. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your week. Happy Tuesday. Bye.